Hello. So my name's Aidan. Ooh. Ooh. So, ooh. Ooh. So, ooh. You guys should try this. It feels amazing. This is. So the first thing that I always have to say is that I have a stammer. I'll be up here for about 20 minutes. That will be one joke. Are there any other stammers in? We're probably not going to know for a while, so we'll just keep on going. Stick up your hands at any time. It's fine. Just a quick story. I'm a software engineer. That's my job. Recently I interviewed for a job on Skype. Okay, I was interviewing for a job on Skype. Stayed at home from work that day. I worked from home. I put a load of books behind me so it looked professional. And so I was on this interview, right? And for the entire interview, I could tell that throughout the entire interview, they had no idea whether I was stammering or buffering. I swear to God, as soon as I went, okay, just restart him. And I was like, fuck off. So let's get started on the facts about stammering. There are 68 million of us in the world, right? That's 1% of the entire world suffers from a stammer. 68 million people. And from that, it's 80% men, so it's a total sausage fest. Like, I am not doing this for the ladies, I will tell you that. And so 68 million people in the world suffer from a stammer, and there's been surprising little research done on it, which I know sounds insane, right? When 1% of the whole world is suffering from something, but nobody has been looking into it, right? But then I thought about that, and it actually makes perfect sense, right? Because we aren't the most vocal bunch. Like, we're not great at complaining. And then protesting, we could give it a try. But who knows how that'd go? It'd be like, what do we want? What? When do we want it? What do we want now? And so because of this, right, nobody knows the cause of a stammer, right? It's genuinely not known, okay? Nobody knows why we stammer. But there are theories from all around the world. So for instance, there's a very old theory among African Americans, and they believe that if the mother, while she's pregnant, sees a snake, that the child will be born with a stammer, which I know for me was not the case. Because, as we all know, St. Patrick chased the snakes out of Ireland. He is the patron saint of stammering. Which is why on St. Patrick's Day, every year, people all over Ireland get so drunk that they lose the ability to speak out of solidarity. You're all heroes, lads. So there's another theory. There's another theory from Iceland. Okay, this one's from Iceland, and they believe that if the mother, while she's pregnant, drinks from a cracked cup, that the child will be born with a stammer. So I asked my mom. I was like, "Mom, back when you were pregnant with me, did you ever drink from a cracked cup?" And she said, "Aidan, I don't know. I was drinking a lot at the time." And so there's a theory from South Africa, okay, and they believe that if the baby is left out and forgotten in the rain, that it will develop a stammer. So again, I asked my mother, I was like, Mom, back when I was a baby, did you ever leave me out in the rain? And she said, Aidan, I don't know. I was drinking a lot at the time. So we'll never know. And so there is no cure for a stammer. I will never be cured. And back when I was a child, my mum she took me all around Ireland looking for a cure. You know, she brought me for reflexology. She brought me for hypnotherapy. She even brought me for the Catholic cure for a stammer, which was surprisingly ineffective, okay? Because I was brought into an old woman's home who I had never met before, and she sat me down on a chair, and she pulled back my head, and she started saying prayers over my throat, okay? But I've got quite a long face. That wasn't a joke. And she had short T-Rex arms and couldn't quite reach all the way. So what she to do was, she to lift both her breasts up and place them on my forehead. Which was when I realized that that was not a Catholic cure for a stammer. That was an ancient Catholic cure for homosexuality. And lads, fair play to her, I'm still not gay, so... So I'm actually on a speech course called the McGuire Program. Has anyone ever heard of the McGuire Program? Nobody? Okay. I'll explain. So basically, it's a speech course in which they teach us certain techniques so that we can be in control of our stammer, okay? And so, for instance, one of them is, we're encouraged to speak in a deep and breathy tone of voice like this. But I try not to because it's a bit creepy. So if at any point I sound as if I'm going to murder all of you, it's for my benefit. So I actually lied earlier when I said there really hasn't been much research done on stammering. This isn't a joke, by the way. I just want to fill everyone in. In 1939, in the University of Iowa, a woman named Mary Tudor. I don't understand that into a song. So she did her thesis on the causes of stammering, okay? And she got 22 orphans, okay? Didn't tell them what was happening. She brought them in from an orphanage in a different town every day, and she said to half of them, "You all have stammers." And she said to the other half, "You speak fine." And then she gave the ones who didn't have stammers constant negative reinforcement on their speech. And then she gave the ones who she said did have stammers constant positive reinforcement on their speech. It didn't go well, lads. I'll be literally half of them after it had stammers and before didn't, right? It was called the monster study. Look it up. It's pretty fucked up. So what I'm saying is, all you academics, I'm fucking scared right now. This is not a safe space. So have you got anyone here that knows somebody that has a stammer? Has anyone got a friend that stammers? Yes, you sir, putting up your hand as if I'd be insulted if you spoke. And so it's a little bit awkward, isn't it?
He was kind of an asshole, but... I liked him all right, but he was kind of...
First of all, I was not expecting that accent. Holy crap! Is this guy a plant? Holy crap, where are you from?
Minnesota.
You're from Minnesota? Oh yeah. Okay, cool, stop talking now. This is over. This is... Oh my God. You sound like an old-timey newscaster. This is... Hey, what's that about? We got a cold front coming in, it's cool. What's your name?
I'm Dan.
You're Dan. Yes, you are, Dan. That was weird. That was pretty weird. It was pretty weird. I was expecting his name to be Scoops O'Callaghan, and he'd be wearing a fedora at all times. This is going to be a good story. So yeah, that was weird. I'll be honest with you, that's not the weirdest thing that's ever happened when I've asked that question. I ask that question at every single gig I do, and I always ask it in the same way, right? I always say, is there anyone here that knows somebody that, is there anyone here that knows somebody, is there anyone, no, it's creepy. So effective, but so creepy. So is there anyone here that knows somebody that has a stammer? Okay, and I get some very weird responses, right? Recently somebody said, I know somebody that has Tourette's. That's literally the opposite of having a stammer. I can't say words, he can't stop saying them. Somebody, no joke, once said to me, Aidan, I know somebody, and they have a stammer and Tourette's. That's just a normal person. They cancel each other out. But I think that the worst response I've ever gotten for that question was once a guy stuck up his hand and he was like, yes, I know 2 people, and they're both women, and I can set you up with one of them. And I'm like, that's the worst idea I've ever heard in my life. Can you imagine 2 stammerers on a date, sitting across from each other in absolute silence, wondering, so has the other one finished speaking yet? Ain't nobody got time for that. And so you're fine, Dan, it's okay, we know it's awkward. We know that it's awkward. Because we can see it in all your faces. When you guys ask us a question, and we respond with a stammer. And you guys are just like, oh no! He looked normal! And so people just don't know what to do when they meet somebody with a stammer. People just don't know how to react, right? And the thing that people do to me the whole time is they will offer me advice on my stammer. Because people will think, well, I've never stammered in my life. So I know a thing or two about not stammering. And they'll walk up to me and they'll be like, here, mate, you know what you should do? I'll tell you what you should do. You should just relax. And I'm like, oh my God. Thank you, random asshole in Starbucks. I can't believe I've wasted 20 years of my life in speech therapy when all I had to do the entire time is relax. You're my hero. And this guy's like, I know. And then he walks off and he sees somebody that's sitting in a wheelchair and he's like, here, mate. So let's talk about that for a second, because I know I just equated stammering to being in a wheelchair, and it's not the same thing, right? Okay, being in a wheelchair but stammering top trumps every time. It's not even close, okay? And I'll be real with you for 1 second, okay? Being paralyzed is a horrible affliction that affects you every second of every day of your life, you know? I wouldn't wish it on anyone, and I wouldn't want to make life of it either. And stammering only really affects me when I have to speak, and on some days it doesn't affect me that badly. But stammering is under the law technically a disability. But we get none of the perks. We have to park with the rest of you people. And the worst part is that I can't even enter the Paralympics. And I've tried, okay? I've even suggested events. I'm like, we could have a spelling bee. Because that would be the hardest event in the entire Paralympics. He'd be like, Aidan, spell banana. And I'd be like, but. And he's like, there's only one bean banana, you stupid idiot. And I still won silver, so great day for the parish. So I know I'm making stammering seem pretty cool. Some of you guys are like, wow, I wish I had a stammer too. But it's not all being a rock star. There are some downsides. A big one is that I slur my speech, okay? So I'll try, I will be trying to say, say a word and it won't quite be coming out. And so I'll try to force it out and come out as a slur, okay? Now, that's not like a racial slur or anything. That was a coincidence. But slurred speech, and because of this, some very weird things happen. I think that the worst is that a lot of the time people seem to think that I'm drunk, especially the police. Every time in my life that I have ever driven up to a Garda checkpoint, I have been breathalyzed, which is discrimination. But I couldn't say it, so. Like, that's a victimless crime. Actually, speaking of, right, so I have a friend called Michael, okay? Michael also has a stammer. That's literally all we have in common. We have very long, meaningless conversations. So Michael, he is a stammer as well. And recently, Michael got 20 years in jail for shoplifting. It's insane, he got madness. He got 20 years in jail for shoplifting. But guys, I guess that's just the thing, okay? That stammerers always have longer sentences. Oh, that groan. It was like that joke is haunted. So speaking of haunted, who has seen the film It? Did anyone go see the film It? Yes, you did. Did you notice that the main character in the film, that he had a stammer? Yeah. Okay, I don't know why you're so unsure. It was literally a movie. So for me, that's amazing because there's literally no reason in the film for him to have a stammer. It's not relevant to the plot. It's just pure representation of an underrepresented minority in society, okay? It's brilliant, I'm all for it, okay? And in the book, he's a stammer as well, and there's no reason. But I kept on thinking, why did Stephen King give him a stammer? Like, why did he think this main character should have a stammer? And then I figured it out. I think that back when Stephen King was writing that book, I think he finished the book, and then he was like, crap, I haven't hit my word count. How can I make this 15% longer? Bubba Billy. Speaking of things that are scary, has anyone ever done a Ouija board? Anyone? Yes, you have. Did you contact any spirits? Yeah, holy crap. Were you scared? No. What's wrong with you? Are you like an exorcist or something? Was it somebody that you knew? No, okay, it was just a random lad. Age, sex, location, male, dead, heaven? So I've done them. No, sorry, that's a lie, I haven't. My friends have. I'll tell you, it was really weird. Okay, so one day, all my friends were like, let's do a Ouija board. And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, you can stay away then, okay? But I was staying over in their house, so I had to stay. I had no choice. So they made it on the table, you know, the thing in the middle and all the letters all the way around. And then they surrounded the table in salt because we'd seen it in Hocus Pocus. But I was scared, so I left and went into the next room, and the door had a glass window, so I'm behind the glass window, and I surrounded myself with salt and a little bit of pepper just to be safe. Who knows? And then they started it, and they said, Spirit, what is your name? Because they'd already contacted the spirit. They go, Spirit, what is your name? Right? And all their hands were in, and everyone's hands moved down to B. And they were like, B. And then I moved back to the middle. And then it moved again to B. And they're like, B, B. And then it went back in the middle. And then it moved again, this time to B. And they're like, B, B. Aidan, this lad has a speech impediment. Will you come in and translate for us? I was like, I can't. I'm surrounded by pepper. Actually, even weirder, one day, they were doing it all day, contacted a ton of spirits, and every one was an Italian plumber. Couldn't believe it. Contacted like 20 spirits, and every one was an Italian plumber. And they were like, no, this is a Ouija board. And on that groan, I've been Aidan Greene. Thank you very much.
Aidan Greene, everybody.